All right, Coach, we'll start with an opening statement and then take questions.
Tough and disappointing loss tonight against a really good Huskies team. I want to tip my hat to Northern Illinois. They outplayed us tonight, outcoached us. I said all week they were a really, really talented football team with really good players on both sides of the football. One of the most talented teams that we've played as we've gotten into MAC play and even in our G5 schedule with just light competition. And, you don't beat Notre Dame in South Bend and not be a really good football team. And Coach Hammock has done a great job there. I knew that they would come in hungry and ready to prove something no matter what had happened in the last two games. Tonight, we made some uncharacteristic mistakes that haven't necessarily shown up a ton. Didn't take care of the football well enough. We had 4 turnovers. Didn't convert well enough on third downs. Didn't get off the field on third downs defensively. Had another kickoff return for a touchdown. And, didn't make the plays when we had opportunities in the game to make plays. And then there were also some things that have shown up that continue to show up in different phases that we have to make sure that we attack directly this week. And so disappointing. I got to do a better job coaching, but we got to do a better job all around. I hurt for the guys in that locker room because I know how much this game meant to them. They had a great week of preparation. Were really focused, attention to detail, really had a great look about them this week. And I think that they were really hungry because of what happened last year, them being embarrassed by how we played and getting out physicaled. And really, they're hurting. And, like I told them, you got to have a great week of preparation, but you also have to show up and execute at a really high level. And so just preparing during the week doesn't guarantee you success or victory, but they care, and I hurt for them because I know how much they poured into this week. And so I really want to make sure that they know I appreciate and love them, whether we win or lose. We're going to hold our head high, and they can look themselves in the mirror because of how they prepared this week to give us a great opportunity tonight, and just some things that we've got to clean up and make sure that we will. And I think I always say this, but it's not what happens to you. It's always how you respond to it. And so we got a short weekend in the Bowling Green. We got 6 days, no time to feel sorry for ourselves. We got to get back up and get ready to go. We're going to face a really good Bowling Green team next week in 6 days, and we'll have to bring our best next week.
You kind of touched on it a little bit, but you mentioned your approach now moving forward. First conference loss. How do you make sure your team still knows everything you want is in reach and you can refocus in such a short window going ahead of Bowling Green?
Yeah, I just said that to them in the locker room. All of our goals are still on the table, and this loss hurts. It was disappointing. I think we're all disappointed, frustrated, not happy with the product that we showed tonight. But because of how we've played early in our MAC season and where we are as we move forward, all of our goals are still on the table. And so I challenged them with that immediately in the locker room. We've got to look at this game and get some things fixed, make sure, too many explosive plays, too many missed tackles, another kickoff return for a touchdown, so that's four on the year. We weren't, I said all week this game was going to come down to the critical situations. And in these MAC games, in MACtion, it's the team that executes at the highest level that wins, but also makes the fewer mistakes. And they made more plays than we did. We made more mistakes than they cost us, and they always do against really good football teams. But, third down, they were 60% on third down conversions. We were only 20%. In the red zone, they were 100%, 4 for 4 on their trips in the red zone. They rushed for 255 yards, which is not good. 411 total yards. We had 4 turnovers. We did rush the ball for 211 yards. Did some good things at times, just not consistent enough to beat really good teams like NIU.
I feel like Hayden's been especially efficient as of late. What did you see from him tonight that changed? Was it more of pressing throws, or do you feel like it was their defense that kind of gave him some different looks?
A little bit of both. I think Hayden has played really consistently. We've talked about that each week. He's been really efficient, really protects the football, does a great job getting us in and out of the, right, wrong play, making sure that we're getting into favorable looks. But I mean, first of all, NIU's defense is not the top in all defensive categories in the MAC for no reason. They're really good, and they have really good players. And there haven't been many teams that have had a ton of success on. And we talked about their third down defense, their total defense, leading the conference in sack. I mean, all the things. So they are really good. But also, Hayden tonight made some uncharacteristic mistakes, putting the ball in jeopardy. He obviously wishes he had a couple throws back, and really on most of them it wasn't decision; it was just location, and so or timing. And so he's either he'll get those things cleaned up. He cares. He's frustrated with himself, like we all are right now. He's a competitor. He wants to win. He wants to be best every weekend or night in and night out for his teammates. And I'm sure he feels like a lot of us right now. We let each other down. And we just have to be better. It's all how we respond, and I know he will respond. He's one of our best leaders. He does a great job. I know he's going to be back in the building tomorrow, first thing, and ready to attack the week. And so want to continue to get him at a high, playing with confidence and at a high level and efficient. But I think sometimes you press against really good teams when you're trying to make something happen, trying to create those momentum plays and game-changing plays. And
you go and you score, with about 2 minutes before the half, and then they get that kickoff. They start at the 40. Just how pivotal was that sequence for them to score in that time frame? And then also you come out of half and you score, but then you let up the kickoff. Do you feel like those were momentum shifting plays there that really turned the tides?
Absolutely. They were huge plays, pivotal plays in the game, big momentum and game-changing plays, and it felt like there were a bunch of those in this game. That sequence before half, we go down, we score, and then don't place the kickoff where we wanted to. We wanted to power squib it and really kind of pin them deep without a chance to return there right before the end of half. And didn't execute that well enough, so they got really good field position. So that was number one. We give them really good field position. Then two, can't get off the field on defense. Let them go right down the field. And we played bend but don't break, and really kind of had them where you want them. 14 seconds on the clock, one timeout, and so you've got everything that you want defensively. We just didn't execute when we had the chance to get off the field. So you give up a touchdown, you go down, you go into half down a touchdown. We come out, we talked about starting fast, starting the second half the way we started the first half, starting fast and being physical, really attacking the grass and making sure that we had that passion and energy that we showed up with in the first quarter. And I thought our guys did a great job. Jaden's kickoff return was huge. 5 plays later, we score, and the juice, kind of came back in the stadium, and felt like our guys had some life and energy again. And so then the very next play, you give up a touchdown on kickoff return and takes the wind out of yourselves. And it was a huge play. It was not the only play that was huge.
Looking at last time out against Kent State, really dominating performance by the defense. Mm-hmm. You mentioned, some of the explosive plays given up tonight. A little bit of a different look from that defense that I'm sure what you guys were hoping for as well. But just kind of going back to, refining that, hoping to get back to more Kent State-like performances. What are you guys really looking for from that defense, coming out of today's game?
Yeah. Like I said in the opener, I mean, we didn't play well enough in all 3 phases or coach well enough tonight to win the football game. So there's a bunch of things for us to clean up and get better at. Defensively, 255 yards rushing. They had 411 total yards. They were 60% on third down. They won the critical D&Ds. Our run defense has been one of our strengths. That did not show up tonight, and I think they do a great job putting extra linemen, really, the gap scheme in their run game, the pullers, the shifts and trades and motions. They want to run the ball like we do, and put you in conflict on defense, and they did that. And then the explosive plays continue to show up, the missed assignments, and then the missed tackles. And one of my biggest challenges to our defense this week was with their running backs and skill players, you have to swarm tackle. It has to be 11 hats on the ball. It has to be relentless effort to make sure, because they do break a lot of tackles, have yards after contact, really hard to tackle powerful runners with the ball in their hand, whether it's the two running backs who are really good, whether it's the quarterback, whether it's the skill players. I mean, the fullback's hard to tackle. I mean, he looked like Mike Allstott out there. I mean, trucking people. And so we didn't do a good enough job in those areas. And, the explosive plays are a lot of times either communication, miscommunication, lack of communication. And so we've got to clean those things up this week. We were much better in those in Kent State. I thought it gave us a lot of confidence in how we played. I think one of the hard things when you have a little bit of a layover and a bye, especially as a coach, we had a lot of momentum that we had built through those first 4 MAC games. And you just like staying in the battle rhythm of preparing each week, keeping we're creatures of habits. You love routine, and I think we were in a really good rhythm, just our preparation. And sometimes when you flip the schedule or you have a bye or 10 days out, layoff, there can be a little bit of rust, and 10 days in between games is a long time.
When you look at the turnover battle tonight, one of the few times that you guys have been on the opposite end of it, when something like that happens, obviously, I mean, you guys haven't experienced it much, but how is this an opportunity for this team to learn how to work through that, being on the opposite end of the turnover battle and overcoming that to, still get out a win?
Yeah, we were not very good in that. Lost we had four turnovers to their 1. We caused one fumble, and one of the biggest stats or indicators of wins or losses is the turnover margin. And so it's hard to win games if you don't win the turnover margin. We've stressed that. We've been on the other end of it a lot this year, which has been really good. Tonight we weren't. We had three on offense, and then we had 1. I called a fake punt there, and Ryan throws the ball up. The kid makes a really good play. I mean, we assessed it, on our first punt of the game. We looked to make sure that it was the look that we had prepared for all week. They were still giving us what we wanted. It was the same exact look that we prepared for and that we wanted to run it against. Came back and called it on the second punt, and we were kind of in that plus fringe territory. We were up 7-0 at the time. Really wanted to be able to. I knew Northern Illinois really likes to shrink the game, especially with their run game, because they huddle. Their time of possession, you have limited possession, so I wanted to create an extra possession there. We knew we had the look, and we had executed in practice. I tell you what, the player from Northern made an excellent play. I mean, he really did. And even with all that being said, even after the interception, if we just go tackle the ball carrier, it would have been as good as the punt. And really nothing would have been lost there. We missed 2 or 3 tackles. He breaks down the sideline, and then we have a personal foul, which gives him an extra 15 yards. And so, there were uncharacteristic mistakes tonight like that all over the field in all 3 phases.
When you look at, again, wasn't the final result you guys wanted, but still in a game like this, still seeing the ground game that you guys have excelling. I believe all 3 guys were over like 6 yards a carry or close to it. Your 3 headed back. Just seeing that you guys have still been able to establish the run even in tough games like this. Just what it means for you guys to still always have that a solid ground game that shows up week after week.
Yeah. I thought it was really impressive for us to rush for 211 yards on this defense. Number 1 rush defense in the MAC, and we talked about all their defensive statistics. But really proud of our offensive line. I really challenged our offense. I felt like they out-physicaled us last year. That was not the case this year. We went toe-to-toe with them. I actually felt like coming out of the first quarter, we were the most physical team as we came out. But that we were a different team tonight than we were last year. got the same result, but I think that there were some improvements from what we did, and really proud of our O-line. I challenged them this week to be the most physically dominant group to win the trenches, and they did that on that side of the ball.
So obviously it wasn't the result you guys wanted tonight, but it's your first conference loss. You still rank number 1 in the MAC. What are the goals for the remainder of the season?
Yeah, our goals have not changed, and that's the beautiful thing about where we're still sitting right now after a loss. All of our goals are still on the table. Our leaders and leadership council said their mission, their why, their goal was to win the MAC this year. And they have had great focus of just going 1-0 and preparing the right way and doing the little habits that it takes to win and for the wins to show up. And that's where I think they're frustrated right now, because they had a great focus, intent, week of preparation, but didn't get the result that we wanted. To me, I challenged them with, good, what are we going to do about it? How are we going to respond? The beautiful thing about it is we just lost a football game, which nobody's happy about. We're all frustrated and disappointed in how we played, and it wasn't up to our standard. But for us to still have all of our goals on the table, great, let's learn from it, move on. So I actually think, it's part of a positive to be on a short week right now. You don't have time to feel sorry for yourself or think about the what ifs or sit and dwell on it. You got to move on really quickly, and if you don't, you'll get embarrassed. Bowling Green will embarrass you really quickly.
Do you feel like because this was a nationally televised game, the players felt pressure, especially those who are kind of in the talks to go into the draft next year? I know Blake Bosma has been in some of those talks. Hayden Wolf is another one. Anthony Sambucci is another. Do you think that the pressure got to those guys? Not those guys specifically, but the team as a whole, especially maybe those guys who want to go pro or even freshmen that you played?
I don't think being on ESPN, Action Game, nationally televised, any of that had any effect or bearing or weight on the game. As you get to Action and you continue to win, and the pressure, to win each game, to continue to win, to keep in the MAC race gets higher. Pressure is a privilege, and we feel pressure right now because of what we've done and because we've won games. And sometimes you can allow that to affect you. That's why I always talk about control what you can control, and we talk about effort, attitude, toughness, and discipline. Control those things which you control every single day, and the scoreboard will take care of itself. You can't let whether I'm getting drafted, whether nationally televised game, none of that matters. What matters is how you show up, execute, and what you do every day. And so, yeah, we made uncharacteristic mistakes. Don't think it was because we were on ESPN.
All right, thank you.
Please, Coach.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.